Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Miracle Fighters, a Hong Kong fantasy action comedy from 1982 that was directed by the legend himself, Yuen Woo-ping. During the Qing Dynasty, Han Chinese and Manchu people were not allowed to marry each other. So the emperor commands Ko Hong, played by Eddy Ko, to kill his wife. He refuses, but his wife is killed in front of him. He engages in a battle with some of the guards until a sorcerer shows up. And to escape the palace, he basically kidnaps the infant prince and takes him with him. And the story kind of goes from there. Now, this is one of the most difficult films to review. All right? Because it's so hard to describe this movie. There are some really bizarre scenes, and the film is kind of nutty overall. Even when I explain some of these scenes to you, it's almost impossible to kind of picture them in your mind. Miracle Fighters, if nothing else, is one of the more memorable Hong Kong films I've ever seen. Like, whether or not you like it, you're not going to forget this movie. You're just not. It's a very quirky film, and that's immediately evident during the opening scene. So, like the plot synopsis said, right? This man's wife is murdered in front of him, and he starts fighting the guards, and then the sorcerer shows up. Now, instead of like a typical martial arts scene or a wizardry scene, the wizard turns himself into an urn, or like a big pot. It's like, okay. And a little person like emerges from the pot, like their arms bust out of it, their legs bust out of it, and their head busts out of the top, and they're basically wearing an urn, and they proceed to fight the protagonist while wearing an urn, okay? And they're wearing, like, makeup, too. So, sometimes his body parts will retract back into the urn, kind of like a turtle, you know what I mean? And then the urn will, like, float, drop down on the ground, and then roll at the protagonist to attack them. Like, it's really difficult to describe this scene. It's tough. There's a scene with living paintings, I guess I would describe it, which is pretty neat. There's an Invisible Man scene that's filmed in ways that I've never seen an Invisible Man attack filmed before. You know, you could tell how they did it, but I've just never seen it done that way before. It's pretty cool. There's a fight with the sorcerer who uses a anti-gravity bat attack. I guess I would describe it that way. We get some weird training scenes. One of my favorite scenes in the film, and it's just a classic, are two men, okay, and they're wearing the same outfit. They're wearing one outfit. There's one outfit, and they're both in it. It's so hard to describe. And they emerge from different openings in the outfit. So one guy's head will appear, you know, on top of the neck, and then he'll drop in like a turtle, and then the other guy's fist will pop out and like punch people with it. You know what I mean? It's a completely insane scene, but it's really like a highlight of the film. And then the big finale is just like, it's like a series of challenges, I guess. One of them involves like, for example, it'd be like, okay, there's like a group of dudes. Like, okay, if you want to proceed to the next challenge, here's a key that's going to unlock the handcuffs we cuffed on you. But we're going to put this key on a paper machete rabbit, and the rabbit somehow like moves on its own, and these guys would attempt to like get the key off of the fake paper mache rabbit that's moving on its own. You know what I mean? Like, it's, again, like I said, very difficult to describe. There's a chance that you just listen to everything I just said and you have no freaking idea what I'm talking about. In a nutshell, though, I would say this. If you take anything away from what I've said so far, the fight choreography and the way the fights are constructed are extremely unique and creative. And that's the one thing you need to take away from this review. So if that sounds good to you, you need to watch this. I mean, the characters are really quirky, too. You know, some of them act like magicians, and they just do it, like, out of nowhere. Like, this guy, he'll have, like, an umbrella, right? And he'll take his umbrella, and he'll move his hand across it, back and forth, and it turns into a piece of cloth with, like, patterns on it that he uses for something else. And they just do it like it's just normal to them. You know, it's like, wait, is this guy a magician? You know what I mean? There are multiple uses of fake body parts that these guys use, too. It's totally bizarre, but it's so hard to sell you on this film. You don't watch it for the story. You watch it for its creativity. So, if you like wacky martial arts movies that are comedies, action comedies, and get really kind of bizarre at times and have really creative fights, I would say you really need to watch this film. It's a high priority. Now, it's currently available on a Region A Blu-ray from Hong Kong. I showcased it, I think, in my collection video a little while back. The transfer is actually a little better than I thought it would be, but it's not like fantastic. It's not as good as Magic Crystal in terms of the transfer. But again, it's kind of tough to find a movie like this. It's pretty obscure. So check it out if it sounds good to you, though. It's pretty neat. And as always, I will see you next time.